Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I hope you guys are well. This is Ihsan. It's still a bit dark outside and it's a bit early. I just dropped my son off to school and I'm about to head in and get some exercise. But a little discussion came up between him and I on the way to school, and I could see that he was a little bit uncomfortable about something. And so this came up, and I thought it would be useful to share with you guys. Essentially, he was a bit uncomfortable about how he may be perceived, how others may think of him with regards to a certain little issue that was coming up. I shared with him that what really matters is not so much what other people think, and really it's not even what other people think, it's what you think they think, right? It's the way that we think other people are perceiving us or thinking about us that actually is the real issue. But what really matters is the story that we tell ourselves in our heads. So this is what I shared with him, and I thought that would be helpful to share with you guys as well. What really matters is the story that you tell, that you think in your head. That's all that really matters. You get to control the narrative in anything in life. You get to control how you frame any given situation or set of circumstances. And this is something that I teach in my courses, specifically in the Eternal Warrior Way program. There's a module called The Power of Framing, and also something that I share with my coaching clients is that you get to control the narrative. You get to frame any situation in a way that either empowers you or that disempowers you. And unfortunately, with victim culture, with victim narratives and victim mindsets, it's too easy to allow ourselves to slip into disempowering frameworks, different disempowering mindsets, disempowering belief systems, and it just cripples you. Now, the Prophet Muhammad said that the strong believer is better than the weak. Although there's goodness in both, but the one that is strong is better than the weak. In life, we have to be strong. We have to be strong. There is no virtue in succumbing to the weight of this world. This is essentially what we're meant to overcome, the gravity of the world. And that means the gravity of ourselves. And to overcome the gravity of the self, one aspect of it is overcoming the negativity, the negative tendencies of the self towards disempowerment, towards weakness, towards really narratives that are based in ego, right? And the flip side of the ego, two sides of ego, one that seeks to aggrandize itself and the other that seeks to essentially think very negatively about the self. One ego thinks that you're everything, and the other ego is the self-deprecating ego. And neither one of these are part of the path. The path is the middle way. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Muhammad, he always described that this religion, this way, this path is the middle way, not to tend towards any extreme. And neither one of those other paths will work. They will never get you to the destination, right? So we have to always seek balance. And as I continually try to point out, that is the definition of Sirat al-Mustaqim. It's a path of balance, the path of balance. So in any circumstance that you may find yourselves in life, you get to control the narrative. You get to frame it in a way that can serve you rather than that can harm you, that can disempower you. We spend too much of our lives at the mercy of our conditioned thinking, our programmed thinking, our belief systems that have been formed and shaped, the paradigm that has been formed and shaped since we were children, since we were born. And oftentimes, even before, there's aspects of this that we even inherit genetically. Yet, we are not victims to that. We have a choice, and this is the purpose of Islam, to teach us of religion, of faith, of spirituality, to teach us and give us the capacity and the power, ultimately, to choose. We have a choice. We have the capacity to choose. And we can choose, ultimately, what we believe in. There's an amazing hadith Qudsi, that the Prophet ﷺ says, Allah Almighty is saying, I am to my servants according to their beliefs or their expectations, their thoughts of me. It's profound. In fact, we talk a lot about this in the Mastering the Law of Attraction course and program, that what we think, what we believe has a profound impact on how life and the universe reacts to us and reflects to us. And this is the essence of it. The universe is a mirror. It shows us who we are, who we are choosing to be based on what we believe. And what we believe is what we ultimately choose to believe. Yes, our beliefs are formed unconsciously, but part of growing up, part of becoming mature, and spirituality is ultimately about becoming mature. is about learning how to consciously choose, learning how to consciously choose what is true, what is false, what we believe in. The question ultimately is, do we believe? And if we truly do believe in truth and in light and goodness in God, it will lead us to paradise. It will lead us to the experience of paradise. If we do not truly believe, we may say we are Muslims, we may go through our prayers, we may fast, but if our true inner state is not consistent and in alignment with true belief, it will lead us to hellfire, which means to suffering. And we get to experience that on a daily basis in this life and in this world. Every day, we just recently passed Groundhog Day in the United States. And there's a great movie called Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. I really recommend checking it out because it's such a profound lesson. We're essentially living the same day over and over and over again. And all we have is the ability to learn and to choose how to live that day better every single day. We only have really one day. It's a profound thing because in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that on that day, you will be asked, how long were you on the earth? How long did you tarry there? And we will say, we were there but a day or part of a day. In reality, all we have is one day. This is all that exists, this day. It's an illusion that we think we have time that builds upon itself and is extended. All we have is this moment, and all we have is this day. And we are living this day again and again and again, and sometimes making no change, no progress, no evolution. And we're failing to learn. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, keep learning. Be a learner from the cradle to the grave. Continue seeking knowledge, continue learning, because that is the path to growth. That is the path to development. That is the path to evolution and the path to awakening, which is the purpose and reason why we are created. So every day we are given feedback from the universe about what we have chosen thus far, what we have chosen. If you choose to play the role of the victim and to blame everything and everyone else for your current circumstances, there can be no progress. The only path to progress is taking complete, total personal responsibility for where we are and for the results that we have in our lives, and then taking action to change them. First, changing what is within ourselves, and then what is reflected will change. This is the promise of Allah in the Quran. He says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will not change your circumstances until you first change what is within yourselves. That is the Quran. Life is a mirror. The universe is a mirror that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has established to show us ourselves, to teach us about ourselves, to show us what we are choosing. And what we have chosen this far, what we have chosen thus far, is the life that we have, the circumstances that we find ourselves in. The only way to change is to learn how to choose differently. And this means overcoming the negative tendencies of the self, overcoming the gravity of the self, overcoming the programming of our own minds. We've got to learn to free our minds from ourselves, from itself, from its negative and conditioned programming, paradigms, beliefs that ultimately keep us stuck. An example of one who was completely free and liberated from themselves, Jesus alayhi salam, Sayyidina Isa, endless peace and blessings upon him and upon all the great messengers and prophets of God. He had become so free from the gravity of the self that he walked on water. Literally became free from the gravity of this world because he was free from the gravity of himself. Allahu Haq wa Allahu Akbar. I want to see someone who was, or think or remember someone who was free from the gravity of the self? Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Rasulullah. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam transcended this world and this plane and this dimension altogether in Isra wa Miraj, which is coming up in the month of Rajab, the next month. That holy and sacred night is coming. Laylatul Isra wal Miraj, in which the Prophet ﷺ ascended, first traveled to Jerusalem, and then ascended into the heavens, beyond the physical dimensions of this world. That's the degree to which he was free from himself. Khatm al-Anbiya, Khatm al-Mursaleen, the seal of prophets, the seal of messengers, alayhi salatu wassalam, endless light and peace and blessings and divine grace upon him, his family, his companions, his inheritors, his ummah, the world, for his sake. Ila rahmatan lil alameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him, but as a mercy to mankind. And this is the religion that he brought. The religion, the path, the way that leads human beings to freedom. Freedom ultimately of themselves. In the modern world is going to lead us and has led us to slavery to the self. This is the age and the culture, the civilization now of narcissism, of me, La ilaha illallah. This is the worst form of slavery. None are more hopelessly enslaved than they who falsely believe themselves to be free. It's a profound quote. None are more hopelessly enslaved than they who falsely believe themselves to be free. And that is what we have now. We think we have freedom in terms of what we can do. It's not freedom. You cannot have freedom without discipline. There is no freedom without discipline. And so Islam seeks to institute discipline so that the soul can become free from the lower self, from the gravity of the lower self. It can experience what true freedom is. Now in the world, we have more freedom than ever before in the history of this planet, right? You can essentially do anything you want. And now it's all acceptable. Nobody can comment or even, think negatively about the craziest things that people are choosing to do and identify with. And it's all supposed to be okay. Yet, human beings are unhappier, more depressed, more isolated, more lonely, really more sick than ever before in the history of humanity. We're more unhappy than ever before. And statistically, this has been shown, this has been proven. People are unhappier now than ever before in the history of the world. Because, yes, while their bodies may be free, while the ego and the nafs, the lower self, may be free, the soul is being imprisoned and it's dying. We can choose between light or between darkness. We take the path of the prophets, it will lead us to light, and that will awaken the heart and give it life. We take the path of this world and the darkness of this dunya, it will kill the heart. The heart will die, and we will be left with nothing but depression, despondency, and ultimately the death of the soul. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us on the straight path, the path of light and the path of beauty, the path of excellence, the path of the prophets of Allah, the prophets of God. All of them, from Adam alayhi salam to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Abraham, Noah, Moses, Jesus, Joseph, Jacob, all of them, all of the great messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah keep us on their path and in their footsteps. Save us from the ego and the arrogance of ourselves. So the point of this video was really to try to talk on the topic of framing. Learn to become aware of the narrative in your head and realize that you can change it, you can control it. You give meaning to your life's events and circumstances. They do not have inherent meaning. We give meaning to them. So if we're going to give any meaning, let it be at least one that's empowering, right? And ultimately, we should transcend all of this altogether. ومن الله التوفيق. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless and support you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.